Okay, now recording is started.
Yes, sir.
Now we will see an important concept in the JavaScript which is related to the objects only. And here we can say new page call bind. This is interviewer's favorite question, bind
Fine.
apply. Call bind and apply. So first we will see what is a bind method. Say h1
Yes.
h1 bind method. What is the bind method? So in JavaScript, first let us see theory. In JavaScript, bind method is used to create a new function. It is related to this keyword. Remember that three methods
Yes.
are related to this keyword in JavaScript. Or let's go here, and here I can say new file bnd.js, and here you can say const person is equals to fstnm abc lstnm pqr. Now here I can say get, and here we can say full name is equals is nothing but a function which returns this dot fstnm plus
Plus LSTM.
this dot
Different.
lstnm. Correct?
Yes.
This dot lstnm. And now what we can do, and simply console.log 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 person dot full name So what is the expected output?
ABC PQR.
Okay, node bnd.js abcpqr. bnd.js abcpqr. Now I want to do some modification. Here I can say const, say logger is equals to, it will log everything. So here we can say function and console.log, and now I can say this. So what if I do something like this, what this will be printing? So here we can say simply call logger, right? You understand this or not?
Yes, sir.
Now if you see logger, if you see this is pointing to the global object. Can you see that? So when you say function console.log this function, console.log this is pointing to what? Global object, and that's why it is printing whole this one.
Yes.
Now what I wanted to do, when I call logger, it should print this full name over here, and here I can say this dot full name. Okay, remember that there is, you will get one error over here. Now see, there is no, can you see there is no full name available,
Yes.
because inside the, so what this will point here, this is pointing to global object. This is pointing to what?
Global object.
Global object. And inside global object there is no full name method. Now what I want to do, so I want to bind this to this object, right? I want to bind this, which means that, remember that whenever you say logger and here you say this will point to the global object. But before calling to this logger, here you can say, if you do something like this, logger dot bind, and here we can say person, logger dot bind person, and now try to call logger and see what happens. What do you think? What will happen? See?
It is a bind.
See, still,
No.
if you see, still it will give you undefined error. So whenever you get, if you see the bind method itself is returning, you can say, a reference to the bound thing, or we can say bnd fn. So instead of logger, you can call bnd fn. And if you see here, what happens? Can you see abcpq or abcpq? So here what you did,
Okay.
you have bound inside the logger, there is a this,
Yes.
right? So you bound this with what? Person object. If you don't bind this with the person object, the default binding is with what? Hello?
Yes, sir.
So by default, this will point to whom?
Global object.
Global object. So default binding, if you don't write this thing like this, default binding is with what? This object. Global object, correct. And if you want to change something like that, if you want to change this to the any specified object, you can use which method?
Bind.
Bind method. I hope this is clear to you.
Yes, sir.
So let's write it in JavaScript. In JavaScript, bind method is used to create a new function that when called has its this keyword set to the specific value. You are defining that value.
Yes.
You are defining that value. No one else is defining that value. But this, if you want to change a reference of this, if you want to change, you need to use bind method. It allows explicitly specify value of this when function is invoked. It allows you to explicitly specify the value of this when a function is invoked. The bind method does not immediately invoke the function. See here what it does. The bind method does not immediately invoke a function. Instead, it returns a new function with the specified value. So here is what you can say syntax. And you can pass the multiple arguments over here. This first is this argument, then arg1, arg2. Now what is the meaning of these things? Original function, the function whose value you want to set. This arg, here you can see this arg, a value to be passed as, a value to be passed as this parameter to the function when the new function is executed. Then arg1, arg2 and arg1, arg2 and multiple optional arguments to be preset for the new function, right? Example, we already have written the example. Remember that this returns a new function, very important thing. Sorry, bind returns what? New function. That function you need to call.
Sir, this ARG means the full name or person.
If function is having some parameters, okay, let's do one thing, and here we can say, just a minute, here we can say, what we can say city plus city. Okay, can you city is what? Undefined.
Undefined.
And here I can say CCC. Can you see CCC is coming here? These are nothing but what? The function parameters.
Yes.
Got it or not?
Yes, sir.
Now when you say bind, right? When you say bind, so bind is used in this way. This is the interview type question. We are going to see the difference in all also.
Yes.
No problem. But bind generally uses in this way. Now, what we need to do, let's create, okay, this dot first name. Okay, just a minute.
Yes.
So here, logger dot bind. One more example of bind we will see.
Yes.
So this is the person object you have done. Now to this method, you can do something like this also. Person dot full name dot bind. Can you see it will return a new method? See, and here I can pass the object, and here mob is 1, or here we can say mob. Let's not do mob. So I want to bind this object, and fstnm say vvv lstnm. Here I can say bbb, and here I can say new fn, and if you call new fn, just clear it. Okay, new fn is returning something, say console.log new fn. Whenever we learn the React, at that time you will get to know exact use. Can you see?
Yes, sir.
Person dot full name dot bind. So here new object you have passed. So here you can say whatever data you have, whatever first name lstname, that is okay.
Yes.
But I want this to be first name lstname, this to be this vvv and bbb. So person dot full name dot bind, right? So bind this object, bind this object with this full name. Bind this object with what? This full name. You getting my point or not?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now, 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 another use case. So this is one use case we have seen. Use case number 1. Another use case. Okay. Let's do it in a separate file, bnd1.js, rename bnd01.js, a new file bnd02.js. Well, I have a function here. I can say const add, there is one function, and to that function I have 3 parameters, a, b and c, and here I can say return a plus b plus c. Return what? A plus b plus c. Now what over here? Now I want, well, this is used in the database configuration. Whenever we connect, make a DB connectivity, we use this kind of thing. And this thing is also called as currying, currying. Now see, I want to pass, what I wanted to do, I want to pass some default value to this function. So presently in ES6, you can achieve this by means of adding simply 6. In ES6, this is possible, but in the earlier cases, this was not possible. So what you can say, const modified function, modified fn or mdfn, modified fn is equals to, here we can say add dot bind, and see here we can pass null as a first parameter and 5 as a second parameter. Okay, so you have made this guy null. Now you can say mdfn. To the mdfn we can pass 3 2 3 2. We can pass what? 3 2, and if you console this, console.log, answer you can expect as, say, oh, bnd 02. Can you see answer is 10? Now why answer is 10? Just try to see. If you see here, bind. Now see here we don't use any object. Still if you print this over here, console.log this, console.log this, again it will point to the global object. Can you see this is the global object? But why answer is 10? Can you please tell me what is your logic?
Plus add 3 plus 2 and then bind.
Add means what? So here you, so this 5 is there. So this 5 means what exactly? Now if you do something like this, console.log mdfn, okay, just print what function looks like. So let's comment out this. Now if you see function bound add, okay, some native code has been added. But if you see 5 has been added over here and remaining 2. So first argument is what? No, what is the meaning of first argument? What is the meaning of first argument? See, what is the meaning of first argument in the bind? This. There is no this available over here. That's why you set null. So B becomes, and remaining 2 would be getting added. So 5 would be A, right? And BC becomes 3 and 2. Correct?
Yes.
Now just, okay, now if you pass few things over here, 5, 5, 5, 5, answer would be 15 over here, because first parameter is nothing but what? This. If you go to this use case, so, okay, see, can you see here? What would be a value of this? So here you are saying value of this would be the person, correct? Value of this would be this person. And then CCC is what? CCC is this triple or whatever 4 times C is nothing but a parameter to the function. Can you see this function is having only one parameter?
Yes.
Right? And here if you can see CCC, this dot bind dot person. So it is calling what you can say, okay, technically it shouldn't be like this, but here it should be like this. Get full name. No, that is correct. This is correct. So when you say city would be having one function. And whenever you say BNDFN, and this CCC BNDFN would be getting called. Are you getting my point or not?
Yes, sir.
Is this clear?
Yes.
Bind, let me check. Logger dot bind. Oh, yeah, correct. So to the logger we are binding, and that's why. So this becomes this person, and the parameters becomes what? This CCC. That is correct. And same thing is happening over here. Same thing is happening over here. So what is this parameter? This in this case is null.
Yes.
Right? A becomes 5 and 3 and 2 becomes B and C.
Yes. When there is add in a function this parameter, then add a null.
Yeah, because there is no object. We are not using this inside over here. Have you used this over here? No, you didn't use this anywhere. You getting my point or not?
Yes. Yes.
So we didn't use this keyword inside this function anywhere. So there is no point in passing what? Even if you pass something like this, Q:1, now see what will happen. See, there is no impact actually. There is no impact. So if you want to see this thing in another case, so let's make this as string 5 and this 3 2. So here what we can do, let's do something like this. A is equals to $A, B is equals to $B, and C is equals to $C, right? So whatever the values of this, you would be getting to know. Can you see A is equals to this 5,
Yes.
b is equals to this 3, and c is equals to this 2. It
Yes.
has no meaning. You pass null or you pass anything. We are not using that object anywhere. Remember that whatever you pass over here, that would be accessed inside this by means of keyword
Yes.
this.
Yes.
So this is the explanation. Which values are getting assigned to whom? So I'll go to the basic, back to the basics. A, B plus C. Remember that this type of coding is called as currying. Currying. So this thing is called as function currying. Function currying. So here you assign partial data. Here you assign what?
Partial data.
Partial data. And then later on you completed the data. Generally, your DB URLs are generated in this way. Binding on a partial application, you can use a bind for a function curry. A technique where function is transformed into the sequence of the functions, each taking the single argument. So here we can say use cases. Bind h2 or not, actually use cases. So first use case, well, there are a lot of use cases. We have event handlers. Presently you don't know the DOM,
Yes.
so you don't know this part, event handlers. Callback functions. In the callback functions also we can use this. How we will see? Creating the partial functions, just we have discussed that part. Creating the partial function. Function currying. A function is creating another function,
Yes.
and here you can say creating a bound versions of method. We can create the different methods. So here we can say when we will see this thing, lot of things would be getting cleared when we are learning the React. Okay, when we working with the event handlers in the browser, you may want to ensure that this context inside the event handler function refers to the specific object. Binding the function to the desired context, maintain the context free references. So I can give you code for this. Let's keep this code. Presently you might not be knowing this thing, but if you see, there is a handle click, button dot add handle click. Here we can to the, you don't know this line actually, but don't worry. If you see over here, we have used object dot handle click dot bind. So presently we have used the obj itself, but this can be any other object.
Yes.
Right? This can be absolutely any other object. Now in a callback functions, when passing a method, if you want to preserve the context when passing a method as a callback, you might want to preserve the context of the original object, something like this. Here you can say const user name is John, greet function, and this dot name. So if you can see user dot greet dot bind this user itself. So can you see set timeout is a, here you need a function. Remember that here you need a function. Set timeout, if you remember, we have used this method.
Yes. Yes.
First parameter is a function and second parameter is a time required to execute this function.
Yes.
Partial functions, just we have created partial function. This is nothing but what the currying involves the partial function. You can use a bind method. Here you can say you can use the bind method to create the partially applied functions with the preset arguments. Something like this. Multiply function xy. Multiply dot bind. Can you see null is this parameter and 2 is assigned to x.
X.
and to the double we have assigned what? 5. Function currying we have discussed. Let's add this code. A currying and creating the multiple versions. When you want to create, here you can say, when you want to create a standalone function that is a bound version of a method, you can use a bind, which means that if you have a function in an object, if you have a function and if you want to create, if you can see const obj value 42 get value function this dot value, a standalone function object dot get value dot bind. So from this object, if you want to extract only this function, the first example we have seen, this one. So you have a person object, right?
Yes.
You have a person object, but from the person you need to extract only full name related functionality. So you use logger dot bind. So something in some different way we have used over here. Const standalone function is equals to obj dot get value dot bind. Obj dot get value dot bind. Only this much function with the bounded data it will return you. So here we can say value colon 100, 200, value colon what? 200. So this standalone function will always return this 200 thing, right?
Yes.
So there is no, you don't require any object to call this standalone function. Can you see? You don't require any object, but if you want to call this get value function, you need the obj,
Yes.
a variable obj, right? But here you don't require any of the object. That is what the standalone function means. Yes. So in this way, this keyword, bind can be used, right?
Yes, sir.
Now there is something called as apply. Just a minute. H1 apply. Apply. Okay, before apply, we should see call. 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 It's simply call. Okay, let me write the code. And here I can cal01.js. Am I audible?
Yes.
So I have function say hello. I have function say hello. And here I have function called as say hello. And what I can say MSG, what message to be said, and inside this I can say console.log. I can say nm $nm. Hey, $nm or this dot nm. Here I can say msg, dollar msg. Hey, this dot nm and dollar what? msg. Okay, now if you call this say hello just like this, how are you? If you call something like this, node cal 01 and like this. If you see this dot nm is undefined, how are you? So I need to pass this name. So what we can do? Let's create a object, user object const usr is equals to nm, and here I can say abc. Okay, abc. Now see, say hello you have called simply like this.
Yes.
Say hello you have called simply like this, but I will do now say hello dot call. Can you see? Call with this usr object and your message. Usr, what about you? This is your message. What about you? Okay, so here this is undefined. Absolutely.
Yes. Yes.
Not undefined, it is pointing to the global object. See now.
Yes.
Hey abc, what about you? I will show you what
Yes.
this is pointing to. This call method. Can you see this is pointing to what? A global object. Right? Let's comment this out. A basic version. Hey undefined, how are you? Because this is pointing to global object, and inside the global object there is nothing called as nm. So it will return what? Undefined. So I have my own data user. Now instead of calling, so here I can say instead of calling say hello simply like this, instead of calling say hello simply like line number 6, I want to call say hello with the perspective of particular object. Getting my point?
Yes.
Now this inside say hello, this inside say hello would be replaced by this inside say hello would be replaced by your usr object.
Yes.
Any question?
No, sir.
Any question?
No, sir.
Okay. So this is about what? Call. Now what are the use cases of call? So where you will use the call method. What are the use cases of call method? Yeah, if you remember, we have seen something called as inheritance. Where we have seen inheritance?
uh, before the metadata.
INH. Can you see here vehicle.call? And here I have written a comment. This thing you don't know.
Yes.
Right? So first use case we already have seen.
Yes.
First use case, okay, we didn't write the document. Let's complete the document first and then we'll come to the use cases again.
Yes.
So in JavaScript, here you can say call method. In JavaScript, call method is used to invoke a function with the specified this value and the individual arguments. Arguments means what? If there are any arguments to the method. Unlike the apply method, which takes an array of the arguments, the call methods allow you to pass arguments to the function one by one. Right? Here is the basic syntax of call. Here is the basic syntax of call. We have seen this. Now function, a function to be called, here we can say function to be called, this argument, what exactly value of this to be passed, and arg1 and 2 and other args, function arguments, right? Example. So we have seen example. Here is the example of call, right? Here is the example of call. Now use cases. The first use case, inheriting the constructor functions. Inheriting what? Constructor functions. When implementing the inheritance, so this we already have seen.
Yes.
When implementing the inheritance in JavaScript, you can use the call to invoke the constructor of the parent class into the child class.
Yes.
One use case we have seen. So here function animal and function dog, animal dot call this. So here you are passing this of this dog, right?
Yes.
To the animal, and whenever you say new dog, buddy, this name, and the breed golden retriever, right? So name would be getting passed. So this means what? The object we have over here, and this name you are assigning to the animal. So one use case we have seen. Now there are other use cases also. There are some other use cases also. So whatever example we have seen over here, this is something called as function augmentation. Augmentation. What this thing is called as? Function augmentation. You can use a call to extend or augment functions invoking with the additional parameters. See, this is a normal call. Agree?
Yes.
But here you have passed call with some details. So this user is not available over here. So this is called as augmentation. Augmentation means replication, or you can say it's like you are calling the function. Like it's like you are calling the function, but something else is happening over here. It looks like you are calling say hello function. Here also it looks like you are calling say hello function, but with the additional details.
Yes.
So another use case, function augmentation. So you can use, here you can say same thing you can do. Say hello. Same thing you can do. That is nothing but what the function augmentation. So in such cases we would be using, what you can say, a call function.
Sir, in a call function,
Uh-huh.
we can extend another object.
In a call function we can extend another object. No, to this say hello, you have passed this USR, and this USR would be treated as this over here. In this way you have extended. In this way you have extended.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
Now only one function is remaining. That is nothing but what? The apply. And that part we will see tomorrow.
Yes.
Okay?
Yes.
Okay then. We'll meet tomorrow with new topic, interesting topic. And we are about to complete the JS, and we will start
Yes.
a JS related part only. That is nothing but
DOM.
DOM. Correct. Still we will see anything is remaining in JS objects. Yeah, few things related to the arrays are remaining. We will see those things.
Yes.
Okay, fine. We'll meet
Yes.
tomorrow. Thank you.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
I'm disconnecting.
Yes, sir.